So today we're going to go ahead and finish up the mixed numbers section. Now, last time we met, we talked about how we change or how we add a whole number and a fraction. And we said basically if we have three wholes, which are in green here, and then we have 1, 2, 3/5 here, right? That would be the same as three wholes and 3/5, so 3 3/5. Then when I have 4 plus 4/3, we had four wholes, but then because I had 4 out of 3, I color in 1, 2, 3, then the fourth is here. So this creates another whole, and then I have 1/3 left over. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes and 1/3. So that would be 5 1/3. So basically we said when adding a whole number and a fraction, you just write it as a mixed number. So we said 5 plus 2/3 is 5 2/3. 6 plus 3/4 would just be 6 3/4. Example 5 was 2 plus 5 6, which is 2 5/6. All right. But now what happens if we have to add mixed numbers? Okay. So when I look here, what I like to do is I like to add the whole numbers first. So when I look here, and I'll do it with colors first, okay, just to make sense of it. But here I have 2 4/5, so 2, right? And then I have 4 out of 5 colored in. But then if I look, I'm going to color in right away 2, right? 2 and 1/5. Well, if I first fill in this 1/5 there, right? Do I have to fill in any more? No. So what ends up being here, what I end up getting here is 2 4/5 plus 2 1/5 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is equivalent to 5. Okay. If I look at the next one, I have 2, right, and 2/3. But then I'm adding 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to just start with this 1/3 here. And if you look at that, it ends up completing, right, this here, which ends up being 6. Okay. Now, the next one, if I take 1 2/4, so I have 1 and 2/4, but then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add, oh, excuse me here. It's 1 and 2/4. Then I'm going to add 2. Now, when I go to add the 3/4, I'm going to fill this 1/4 in first, this 1/4 in, and then I still have another one, which would be 3/4 there. And if you look here, what do I end up with? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1/4. Okay, so 4 and 1/4. Now, the next one gets a little more interesting. Okay, so right here, I have 2, so 2 holes and 2/5, right? Then I have 1 hole, and then I have 2/5 again. So when I look here, what do I end up with when I do this? I end up with 1 hole, 2 holes, 3 holes. This is my fractional part. So I have 3, and how many pieces do I have here? 4 out of 5. Okay, so when we look at this, how do we add mixed numbers? If I go out to the side here, 2 4/5, the first thing I do is I add the whole numbers. So 2 plus 2 is 4. Then I'm going to add the fractions, right? 4/5 plus 1/5. Remember, we add the numerators, which is 5, and we carry over the denominator. Well, what is 5 divided by 5 going to give me? It's going to give me 1. So this is the same as doing 4 plus 1, which is 5. So the next one, first thing we're going to do is we're going to add the 2 and the 3, which gives us 5. Then we're going to add the fractions. 2/3 plus 1/3 gives me 3/3, which is equivalent to 1 whole. So now I just combine these to get 6. So the next one, if I look, 1 plus 2 is 3. So we're going to do 1 plus 2. That's adding the whole numbers, which is 3. Then I'm going to add the fractions, right? 2/4 plus 3/4 is going to give me 5/4. Now, remember, we have to convert this to a mixed number. 4 goes into 5 one time. How many extras do I have? 1 out of 4. So now, what is 3 plus 1 1/4 going to give me? Well, 3 plus 1 is 4 and 1/4. Okay, so I'm going to slow it down as we go down below, right? But when we add mixed numbers, the first thing we do is we add the whole numbers, then we add the fractions. And basically, we're going to simplify if possible. The fraction should never be, or should always be left as proper, not improper fraction. Remember, a proper is when the numerator is smaller than the denominator. Improper is when the numerator is bigger than the denominator. Okay? So right now, when I look at 4 2/3 plus 2 1/3, 4 plus 2 is 6. So 2/3 plus 1/3, add the numerator, 3/3. How does that change as a whole number? That is equivalent to 1, and 6 plus 1 is 7. So remember, it's your whole numbers plus your fractions. Okay, the next one, I add the whole numbers. 5 plus 2 is 7, right? 1/6 plus 4/6. 1 plus 4 is 5/6. So it's 7 and 5/6. Okay, next one. 8 plus 2 gives you 10. Now, when I look at this, 4/7 plus 6/7, 4 plus 6 is 10/7. But remember, if we put it in the box, 10 in the box, 7. 7 goes into 10 one time. 1 times 7 is 7. How many extras do I have? 3/7. So we're basically doing 10 plus 1 and 3/7. But here, I just add the whole numbers, and I get 11 and 3/7. Okay? So what I want you to do is pause the video and do the you try problems and come back and check your answers. Okay? So here, 5 plus 6 is 11, plus 1/4 plus 3/4 is going to give me, add the numerators, 4/4, which gives you 1, and 11 plus 1 is 12. Okay, next, 7 plus 6, 13. 1/9 plus 4/9 gives you 5/9. So just like we did at the very beginning, 13 plus 5/9 gives you 13 and 5/9. And next, 8 plus 9 is 17. when I do 3/5 plus 11/5, 3 plus 11 is 14 over 5. But what's that as a mixed number? Well, 5 goes into 14 two whole times. 2 times 5 is 10, so I have 4 extra out of 5. So that gives me 2 and 4/5. So 17 plus 2 and 4/5. Add the whole numbers together, give me 19 and 4/5. So what I want you to do is finish this video, do the homework, and when we meet after school on Monday, we'll clarify any mistakes you have. So make sure you send me the homework though.